explained, is based on this learning outcomes, and that also has to demonstrate ability. And there is a grading system, which is pass, merit, and referral. We also included distinction if some partners or someone would wish to award a distinction grade for an outstanding work. And then obviously the assessment method, how this learning outcome or unit of learning outcome is going to be assessed. Is it by interview or group presentation or written test or essay and so forth? And what sort of evidence we require? And obviously there is an assessment schedule and comments. And based on these comments, hopefully we will go and improve things in the future. Yes, next. Now, there is a mechanism for recognition of prior learning, as I explained. As I did say that the mentor's profile has been turned into 20 multi-choice question, but there is also this question of interview. And to us, whether you are talking about recognition or accreditation, they are really the side of the same coin. So from now on, I'm only going to refer to accreditation of prior learning. And we have made sure this accreditation of prior learning is also based on the Quality Assurance Authority for Higher Education in the UK, which they have a number of principles. For instance, one of them is that the judgment should be a professional one. So we have to let the instructor to make that decision. And because there is an external examination of this process, then external examiner is there to make sure that the judgment is fair or appropriate. Also, for instance, as a part of this requirement, only 50% credit can be given for accreditation of prior learning. Anyway, all these things are for discussion. Hopefully, if there are ideas, what I'm proposing, the changes can be made. Talking about now the intended recovery, there is a recovery system within our assessment system, including in the accreditation of prior learning, that the learner, if it does not satisfy, it doesn't display or demonstrate that competence, or for part of that element of that competence, then that person is referred and goes and does some learning, or there is some discussion between him and the instructor, and eventually that deficiency is remedied. So there is a recovery system for the mentors who are enrolling on this program. Next one. Now, for accreditation of prior learning, there's a form. For those of you who are interested, I can send you the final one. It was just a draft one, but just to make sure that all the competencies are achieved, or there is a record how decisions were made about accrediting the prior learning between the mentee, the mentor, the instructor, and also the external examiner, assessor, verify, call it what you may. Next one. Now, these are the principles of the QAA. As I explained, there are 16 of those. Those of you interested, I can send you a copy. It's just based on good practice. These are all common sense, really. Next one. Now, I did explain the importance of sampling assessed work by the external examiner, just to make sure we are fair to the trainee, to the mentee, whoever is taking this course, and the person who wants to become a mentor. So whatever assessment there is a form, and that is the records, the comments by the learner, mentee, comments by the mentor or instructor, and there is a comment by an external verifier examiner. Next one. Now, we have, as I explained, through ECVET, we have made sure the knowledge learning assessment is transferable. We have looked at a number of very outstanding ECVET program. I initiated the program on behalf of the Commission in 2010. That turned to now into a number of other programs. And we also devised a good practice ECVET. The good practice ECVET has got a number of criteria. So if you have got a ECVET compliant course, based on those criteria, the decision can be made whether this is good practice or not. If it's not a good practice, you shouldn't be disheartened. It means you should go back and improve and come back. You also underpin the assessment criteria by the Professional Charter for Coaching and Mentoring, the EMCC requirements. to make sure that we can learn from that particular charter. Next one was the scoring system. We have, as I explained, there is this pass, merit, distinction, referral, and the referral gives you an opportunity for recovery. Next. Now, the preparation stage, obviously we haven't got time. We have gone through a number of good practice ECVET. We have gone through a number of good competence-based courses. We have gone through the theory of learning and assessment. So there is a whole range of references we have gone and made references, and we picked based on rapid process prototyping method, which is better than not to reinvent the wheel every time, but to go back and see what good has been done in the past and pick the good aspects, features, and build it into our program. Next. Now, as I explained, European Commission has come up with a number of programs. We have looked at this, and also that whilst the basic principle of ECVET is simple in theory, in practice could be quite complicated. That's why one of the requirements ECVET is, if two institutions are going to interact or work or accept each other's learning or assessment, they have to have a memorandum of understanding. So everything is stated. They also have to have a learning agreement. So the agreements are made in details, because that obviously is important for us to make sure that both institutions make sense of the learning outcomes, the assessment criteria, and so on. Okay, next one. Now, this is a good practice. For those of you, I can send you a copy. Now, this is a set of requirements based on whether your ECVET competence-based course is good practice or not. So the number of requirements is 10 of those, and it is graded from based on Likert scale. If you go to the next page, that is the rest of them, and they go to the next slide. So there is a system of looking at the criteria, grading it according to Likert rating scale, and then giving a requirement. My own organization, which we run one of the European platforms on maritime education, research and development, for any project, if you score below 25, you cannot be a member of our network. So if you are running a program, you have to run it successfully and get a score of 25 plus. Next one. So really, that is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reza.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Professor, would you like to share your? Do we have time to share your poll questions so that to get some feedback?
Yes, of course. We need. Short
and to the point. Let me post again 3 by 3. We have 6 questions coming from the professor. And then we will look at the let me post 3 of them and then go to the email, my email account, and email it to our fellow guests. I think these 2 are the same. So I'm just going to erase this.
I trust your professional judgment, Professor Yama.
Odysseus Lev is also receiving these emails. I wasn't aware that he was not receiving them earlier. Claire, don't forget to fill out the form that we shared right before the break. Let me share it again. This is the form that your opinion of the overall webinar. Thank you very much. And I would go to the Google Forms and share my screen with you so we can see the responses to the polls of the first 3 questions of C4FF. Let me take the liberty here to change to switch to my desktop. You can keep answering in the meantime. Once it's open, it stays open. That was the first question that Dr. Reza prepared for us. Are you interested in working with us in developing the mentor course further, specifically its assessment practice and the certification system? Its certification system. Dr. Reza, I think this is for our future references, right? So there is not much to do with this.
Yeah, also, you know, at the end of the game, I myself, I'm part of professional institution in UK. So the idea is that we could share and take it further in parallel. I mean, yeah, or and as you mentioned, as we are developing it, it would always good to have people participating, helping, maybe later on as assessors and so on.
We will definitely be connecting to the partners who said yes or maybe to this question in our area. What are your views on the use of multiple choice question in the certification process supported by in-class formal and informal learning and assessment opportunities? Actually, that question is the response to this question is actually valuable to us for IO5 as well. And from Bao's perspective, it's good to know that there is no negative or very negative opinion on that. And the third question, before I post the next 3, what are your views on the proposed APL system? Would you like to have a few more minutes to? I left this open. We have 6 responses. Professor, maybe you want to remind us what APL was standing for?
Accreditation of prior learning, giving the opportunity for people to come and have a discussion first before the course starts. So if you have learned or you have got these skills and competences, if you can demonstrate that through a set of for interview and number of interaction with the instructor, then you are able to get up to 50% credit towards that course. So you don't have to do all the course or all the assessment and so on. I think that's a fair system.
Yeah, and the views are heavily positive about that. So if there is any candidate that has a critic about this, we would love to hear it. So please feel free to just enter to the form. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and post the next 3 questions that you have prepared for the partners. They are going to be emailed to our 6 participants momentarily.
Again, I should repeat that anyone who wishes to speak instead of writing only can raise your hands, or you can unmute and you can be heard. You are welcome to give us your feedback in any of the questions or the area presented. And Yaman, can we see some results of the feedback?
Yes, I'm pulling it out for question 4. We already have 20 responses, and there is my screen. Am I correct, right? This is, no, sorry, this is EFCO cert poll 3, poll 4. I'm so sorry. Let me go back and pull out C4FF poll 4. Yes, there we go. Do you consider evaluating mentees' assist work by an external examiner verifier as a good practice? And again, if you have, if those guests who,
This is, yes, Miss Anne that also mentioned that an external verifier should assess the mentee's work.
and would anyone would like to say a few words on the maybes? What are your views on the grading system, pass merit distinction and referral with a provision for percent marking provided a pass is achieved first? Any opinion on this, dear guests? Okay, no further opinion. And the final poll was, does ECVET approach help to standardize the learning and assessment practice?
Let's remind that all these questions will be also in our website, and they will be open for the participants that perhaps now are not with us, and anyone that would like to offer their feedback. And we will share the links with the participants in the end. So I think that we can thank our participants for this interactive participation and their feedback they provided, and we can now present the course modules, the intellectual output that Bahçeşehir University is responsible for. And we can also have some feedback on the modules.
Definitely.
We also have a written comment.
Is that so?
I said from Jan. Jan said yes.
I said yes to Paul for because I believe that it's quite important to evaluate mentees by an external examiner, as it would be more objective. Thank you. Thank you for your participation, sir.
Thank you.
Do not forget the evaluation form.
Okay. Can I take the floor? Vasilis, I think I can.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to keep it really short because our time, we are going to use our time with OIT. Maria has also is going to introduce us the platform briefly. I will, well, this maybe this IO is the
Slideshow, Ömer.
oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you for. Yeah, I think it's one of the easiest to grasp. Basically, now that the candidates for to our program comes, the mentee, the mentor candidates come, and we are going to provide them the material. This is the IO that prepares the material, both for the let's say education. I'm not going to say training or whatever you want to call. We are going to prepare the materials, which will be shared with the participants, all the mentees and stuff. Our team is going to lead this. The critical point is, in a moment that you will see more in detail, all these 12 points that has been we have spoken today. There are 12 points. Those 12 points are pretty much melt into 4 modules, and we adopted this modular approach. And each module, in a moment that you will see, in each module will be divided into sessions, and each session will be divided into lessons. And these lessons, we intend to keep these lessons as brief as possible, as short as possible, so that the partner can just follow them without losing focus. Right after my presentation, I will once again ask you to evaluate these modules, but to give you a brief idea first in 10 minutes time. The first module is the introduction. We get to know the in-company WBL mentorship, and this module is divided into 3 sessions. Basically, we are trying to answer this question: what is an in-company WBL mentor? Does the candidate know it? Most of the candidates probably already know and has opinion about it, but this is going to be meaningful for those who are rather new to the process. And that it is divided into 3 lessons. This is what I meant by, instead of topic, you can just take it as a lesson. These sessions will be divided in 3 lessons. Definition of in-company WBL mentorship, differences from coaching and training and counseling, and links and boundaries for an in-company WBL mentor's role. While you are going through the table, please take it like this. All these modules, if you see my scroll, I divided into sessions, and by topic we mean these small lessons. The second session of the first module is in-company WBL mentors, roles and responsibilities. We will share material about what the roles and responsibilities will be, and our goal is to deliver information and knowledge about these 3 points: in-company WBL mentors, qualities and skills. What are these qualities? What are the expectations? And how you can avoid in-company WBL mentoring mistakes. And finally, the need for in-company WBL mentors from the company's perspective. What are the benefits of an in-company WBL mentoring program? Once this module is completed, now we hope that the mentor candidate is in the same platform, in the same frame with the program. And the second module, in-company WBL mentoring in action. First session is a need analysis. And the lessons are identifying the company's WBL needs. Why does the company need a WBL? Different in-company WBL styles. We will provide information about the WBL styles to the, I'm going to call, hereafter I'm going to refer to candidates. How many in-company WBL, how in-company WBL needs can be met through mentoring. So here we're discussing the mentoring, how you can discuss the mentoring, how you can discuss the objectives of the company. Preparing your in-company WBL mentoring agreement. Once again, you're focusing on the company here. Designing your in-company WBL mentoring objectives. We would like to sort of deliver information, deliver knowledge to our candidate. How she or can design the in-company's WBL mentoring objectives. We think it's crucial for the sustainability of the program, sustainability of the program for all parties, and implementing your in-company WBL mentoring objectives, assessing your in-company WBL mentoring objectives. I think we got the big picture. This is from the company's perspective, how we can how we can teach the candidate to be on the same frame with the company. So again, once again, it's going to be a sustainable process until the end and thereafter. Evaluating and developing your in-company's WBL mentoring practice. Ways of evaluating your in-company work-based learning practice. Now we are in the company, more in the action. We are getting in the action. Planning your development as an in-company WBL mentor. Get ready. How can you get ready? We're going to show you the tools. We're going to show you the checklist. We're going to provide you the checklist. And we hope that if those checklists will be sufficient to achieve these goals. In-company WBL mentoring relationship. Now, the heart of the effective relationship. How can you create an effective relationship with the other stakeholders? Establishing an effective in-company WBL mentoring relationships. Now we are on the floor. We are out there. We're doing it. The importance of in-company WBL mentoring relationship with the mentee, with the company, and with the vet school. Development stages of your in-company WBL mentoring relationship, and the 4 C's: connection, credibility, confidence, and confidentiality. How can you achieve open communication? How can you be an active listener? Certainly, it's not going to be possible to convert someone to become an active listener, but let's say this is again an ongoing process. Most probably, these mentors will take the information and build their skills around it. Building rapport and verbal, non-verbal communication. Potential conflicts, if they arise during the mentoring relationships. Type of potential professional conflicts. What could they be? How you can sense them? Is there anything you can do? And how to approach? And the final module is going to be mentoring process and practice and support. There is more going back, look back, and learn from the experience we've just had. Empowering professionalism with a supportive learning environment. WBL professional socialization. Establishing a supportive learning environment and supporting an underperforming in-company WB learner. Hopefully, in this stage, maybe it's not clear here, but one of the main idea is once the mentor goes through this mentoring, we want the mentor to go back, look back, study and evaluate him or herself, and be better prepared for a second round, maybe. Adult learning theories, facilitating adult learning skills and developments, because we want our mentor to adopt and develop. Technological resources. What are the technological tools out there? How you can use them? Forums, websites, blogs, and all other tools. How you can use them? Which institutions? How can you search the institutions which are relevant to your area? And all of them are focusing. This module mostly focus on the development, the personal development of the mentor. Okay. And let me share with you because it didn't fit in the slides and I didn't want to squeeze it. Yes, these are the windows that are open. Okay, this is the one. Let me mentor WBL. Okay, I think you still see my screen, so there's no reason. The module looks like this. The description of the module looks like this, and the beginning of the description of the module looks like this. I would like you to take a look at this because I may not be able to go. I'm not going to be able to go back to it during my poll question, but it begins with a module description and the aims of the module. And the main sessions. So, description, what we aim in this module. I took the first module as an example here. The main sessions, these are actually the sessions that you have just seen, and the relevant topics. And I think this part is going to, this part, the EQF level, the ECVET level, how long it's going to take in total, in contact, in hands-on, if necessary, will be developed by the partners, yet to be developed by the partners in the upcoming 2 months with the rest of the material. Okay, and how the topic will be assessed as an ongoing assessment or self-assessment written. You know, we're gonna and again we are gonna decide that. And I believe that in our next multiplier event, this IO will be finalized, and we would really would like to hear your feedback and opinion on the work that we have done, but also today to give us some light. Let me continue. Now that after that one page of introduction to the module, the candidate is going to see, well, these lesson plans are going to be prepared. The lesson plan is going to have 3 stages. Stage 1 is going to be the desired results. I would like you to take a look into it in the view that, is it capturing essentials? Is it capturing the essential parts of a lesson plan? We studied several lesson plans, and this is the one that we came up with. There are 2 more pages. It begins with the transfer, how students will transfer the knowledge. Students, in this case, student is going to be the mentor candidate, understandings, essential questions, and the acquisition, which is refers to the key knowledge and refers to the key skills. Then comes the evidence and the assessment. This learning plan, this lesson, what are the assessment evidence? Authentic performance tests that the candidate will complete to demonstrate a desired understanding or demonstrate they have attained goals. And is there any other evidence that he or she can provide us to prove that he has achieved, she has achieved? And the lesson plan that we prepared concludes with a learning plan, summary of the key learning events. Because after all, we need to know what to share with the candidates to deliver the information and the knowledge, and also we need to know what we are going to ask from the candidate mentor during the work-based learning certification. What kind of materials are we going to provide? These are the ones that we picked. Certainly text and reading materials and visuals. We, at the moment, we have a rich library, well, not from my perspective, of course, a rich library with reading materials and visuals. But we would love to learn any material, any website that you can provide or you can share with us to enrich this library, because after all, we are going to use those materials to prepare the lesson plans and the course content. We are going to shoot some videos. We are planning to shoot some videos in cases where the reading material is not sufficient, such as how to use the body language, and sample questionnaires. How are we going to evaluate them in the end? Well, we just spoke about that in IOUT 4. Multiple questions, essays, and true or false questions. That's what we're going to do. I just wanted to, and I just would like to conclude with giving you a few examples to give you an idea about the language we're using in the questions that we prepared. For example, here we have two examples of multiple choice questions. For example, the second one, for WBL in-company mentors, managing conflict means, and then the mentor answers this question. Certainly, before taking these questions, the mentor already received the information regarding the subject, and we are assuming that she or he reviewed it and grasped it. And some of the question types are open-end questions, such as what are the characteristics of a good quality WBL in-company mentoring relationship with your mentee? And these we also will provide guidelines to the candidate, shortlists, checklists, or examples whenever it's feasible to the candidate, so that the candidate, when he or she comes to that point of answering these questions to get the certification, he or she will have the material in hand, which could be example for a checklist, or for examples of agendas, examples of diaries, etc. So that's pretty much the course content. The course materials are going to look like. I would like to thank you for your participation, and let's continue with quickly with the poll questions, so that we can record your, yes, we can collect your valuable information. We owe a thank to Jenny for helping us with the poll questions. And yeah, take a minute, and I will send you the link. I will share with you the link in more. I need to close my screen sharing. This question is regarding the module 1. Take a minute, take a look again to the module 1. I also emailed it to our 6 partners, guests.
Thank you, Yaman.
You're welcome. Now I'm preparing the second one.
And
This
after submitting your answer, you can click on the link and see the answers.
This is the question regarding module 2, which is company, mentor, and predominantly the student relationship, how we can take your time.
Yaman, may I ask, how long do you envisage this course to last in terms of number of hours?
Sir, actually, that's one of the questions that's coming. I would really love to hear your response on that, because that's something that we've been discussing. We have opinions on that, certainly, but I would love to collect your opinions on that. The time, it's not the time basically spends between 2 days to a week at the moment.
Okay, okay.
But we haven't made a final decision.
Okay. Because I think it's very important for the length of the course not to put people off from undertaking it.
There are the people who are already employed, and they are going to join this in their spare time. That's going to be one of the questions, actually, I would ask you.
Perfect. Thank you.
And here comes the third module for you to evaluate and share your opinions. And here I am emailing it. This is predominantly the acting part. And I will post the fourth module and then stop. I have 3 short questions for you, really short questions. But I would like to share with you actually, I know you can access yourself, but I would like to also share with you the responses. And this is the module that is about like afterwards, how the mostly, not only, mostly, because we have 12 items on the competence matrix, and remember these 12 items are kind of melt into these 4 modules, so each module is going to visit more than one item on the competence matrix. So we cannot say clearly like a certain module focus on a certain part of the relationship or the certain part of the process. And I know our guests know much better than I do. Let me share my screen once again and go to the Google Forms and see the take your time. I know it's for module 4, let's wait for like 30 seconds for the module 4, because I was still receiving responses. Thank you, 18 responses. Thank you for your generous responses.
There are some comments. Can we see the comments in question 1, Yaman?
Yeah, we have just one comment, but
okay.
Already raised.
I think in module 3 there are some comments.
Yes,
in
yes.
Module 3.
Do we have any comments on module 2? I will skip to module 3 then.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just having a hard time to locate it. 41 response, okay. And let's see them.
If there is a question about counseling and mentoring, of course there are differences, and this is something that we will clarify in our first module, how different is mentoring from counseling and coaching and training. These are different ways of guiding an apprentice and an intern. And the second question about how reasonable it is to expect mentors to protect other adults. When you are a mentor, there is some aspects such as immoral or illegal activities that you should protect. The most common, of course, it's confidentiality, and there are personal data and personal things that you may develop with your mentee during your mentoring relationship, and these should be protected. And also, workplace is a place that a mentee is inexperienced. So during the mentoring process, there should be kind of protection towards the mentee, even if this mentee is an adult. Is now just induced in a new workplace, a new work culture. So this person is inexperienced and needs protection from the experienced mentor. And regarding the last question about the informal skills, of course, informal skills, any informal competence is not very easy to be assessed. However, there are some types of authentic assessment that we have included in order to be able to approach some informal assessments.
Okay.
But feel free to discuss anything you need.
And do we have any comments on module 4? Okay, I will go quickly over the remaining questions, the remaining forms, but I am not going to go back to review the. These are simple questions such as about the length of the question and stuff. Okay, let me stop sharing my screen again. Go back and share with you the links. As you will see, these are for us to provide us guidance. Okay. Sorry for my connection got a little bit slow.
Be careful, the 5 is the very bad.
Yeah, I know, but we need that. We need that.
I was confused too, Vasilis.
That's why I'm not sharing the responses, maybe.
They are testing us. If we pay attention, we have slept.
The next question is going to be about you. Ask for your opinion for training like. And as I said,
I think you
Dr.
shared
Walker,
this.
that's crucial for us. Now the link, I just sent the link. It takes a time. And thank you for your patience.
So you reminded us the scale, right? 1 is bad,
yeah.
5 is good instead of that. Here we see 5 is very bad, 1 is very good.
Very bad.
So be careful.
And this was the final one. If you have any source that you would like to share with us. And just say yes or no, and I will contact you. And after the webinar, after the multiplier event, yes, these are these three questions are just to get feedback from you. There is really nothing to review, and I think my co-partner Maria probably has something to share with us. Would you like me to share this?
Sorry, Yaman. Sorry. In question number 6, I think you ask time in days or hours. But we can enter only a number. I mean, we cannot write.
In that case, I would be. Is it a multiple choice, just numbers?
No. We will just enter a number, but nobody knows whether it's hours or days. In the question, it's asked days or hours. So if someone enters 10, is it days or hours? So let's agree now about the unit.
Well, if you want. It is possible, you can write days or hours.
Let's make it hours now.
Hours, yes.
Yes.
Then we can change it in the link.
Yes,
Okay?
For example, I meant 5 days, but I couldn't.
Actually, I couldn't enter days. I did the same.
That's me, you have 40 hours.
I'll write 40, meaning at 40 hours.
40 is clear. That not going to be 40 days.
Probably.
But for 10, it's not that clear.
Numbers between 5 and 15 is going to be problematic.
Okay. Always so much. Training is measured with hours. Okay.
So let's make it hours.
Yeah.
Maria, would you like me to share the presentation, or would you like to take the floor? You want to try?
Yes, I would just very shortly like to say that as it was mentioned before, OED is the Greek Public Employment Service and one of the main vetted apprenticeship providers in Greece. So far, students enrolling each year in apprenticeships and internships in a previous apprenticeship program in APRENET, innovative apprenticeship schemes for micro and SMEs in metal sector. We have developed a Moodle e-platform, which now has been updated and adjusted by our IT expert, Dr. George Kyriakakis, for the needs of this project in order to host the mentors courses. And George will present it to you now, right now.
Maria says.
Yes.
Let me then share my screen. You can see it. Can you see my screen?
Not
No.
right now. Not right now.
No. Doesn't work. Don't know why.
Indeed.
Can you see it now?
Yes. Yes, we can say it now.
Okay.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Okay. I will only give a brief overview of the site as time is very limited. I will log in. And now, this is the default page every logged user comes to, dashboard, where you see the courses you are registered in. And in this case, for demonstration, I have created some dummy courses from the module templates. And what I want to say is that before we start the course, there's some preliminary work we have to do. And that is go to site administration. We want to set up the grade. The grade book can be set up also through a lesson by selecting grades. And then here we click on gradebook setup. In effect, here we define categories. I have defined 4 categories which are gradable: quizzes, assignments, portfolio, and participation in forums. And all the grades you mark go to the right boxes. The other thing we may want to do is set up custom scale. Here I have created a custom scale for forums, and you can see the text, acceptable average, you know. The default one is not yet completed or complete, and that one we will be using. But you can define your own custom. These are the things that we need to do. Because, oh yes, I forgot. I have one more thing. Competencies. We can add competencies to the course, so we can attach quizzes, assignments, or any other grade of activity to the completion of a competence. The competence are defined in the site administration competency framework, and here are 2 demo ones, and this is the one, the matrix you have provided me, and I have included all 12 competencies, the whole hierarchy, and these act as a pool. We can select which ones we want to attach to every quiz. So let me now go to the module 1 hypothetical lesson. Here we have 2 parts. We have a course summary, which is displayed at the top, some announcements. We can add whatever we want. I have also added file resource. Well, you click and you can see a PDF file. You can download it. And then come the sections, where is the main content of the course. Now, this one, section 1, contains custom web pages. Very simple ones. You're familiar with this content. And the other one is similar, so I'm not going to show it. Here we have 4 quizzes. The first one is open question type. I will go directly to multiple choice. And I will, before attempting the quiz, I want to edit text and show you how you can attach competencies to this activity, this quiz. So we go down to competencies, and here you see I've attached the relevant competency level, and I can add more, or I can delete. So it's clear to you so far. And when we attempt this, I just answer it, finish attempt, submit all and finish, and it tells me the result, correct? Then I go back and do the rest, and when they're completed, these boxes are showing that the completion is over. Do you want to ask? Now, the other section contains two modules, two activities. The first one is a forum. Here I have posted a question just to kick off the discussion in the form of a question, and here are two hypothetical answers from two students. And this sort of builds up like a normal forum. Finally, we have for this one, which is a virtual classroom using the Big Blue Button plugin. And if we click on it, we can join the session. I'm not using the microphone. And now, on the left, it shows who is connected to this room. For the time being, it's only me, but if there are students, they will be shown right on the left side. And what's important here to know is that, or rather, should I say that this default slide is my whiteboard, where I can use a pencil and add context if I'm good at drawing, which I'm not. And I can also upload the presentation, which I can drag and drop in this box here and click upload. It will take only a few seconds. Please be patient. It's uploading and converting the file. It's ready, so this is our presentation. And you can carry out the lesson in a synchronous manner. When we're done, we click End Meeting. We don't want to grade it. Click End Session, and we're done with it. Now, there are other hypothetical courses I have set up using fancier tools. We have great flexibility in forming the content. For example, if I go here, do I have time? Here, there's a PDF again. There is some code which I can download. There's a local video and a link to a YouTube video, which if I click, it will display and play the video. And I have another quiz, multiple choice, and a drag and drop text. You can be very creative in designing your quizzes. You have all the tools available. Here, for instance, it's a drag and drop into text. So the computer is, I drag this word, finish the attempt, submit all finish, and I'm correct. And then I can go back and grade the whole activity. This is a lesson module. This is more complicated. because it consists of a series of web pages. And it represents a whole lesson, which may contain text, multimedia, anything you like. This is the first page. Continue to next page. There's some code. There's a video here. And there's a test. Just click on a true-false question. Submit. Now I just want to go on. There's a video lecture here. And it's an exercise where I have to type something, a code fragment, and then submit it for reviewing. And that's just about, you can be very creative. And as you can see here, the layout uses a plugin. I have not shown the plugins I have installed, which shows the sections collapsed and expandable. This is very handy because if we have a topic which is long, contains a lot of context, we relieve the learner from scrolling down for hours and hours. So if we want to see the content, we just click and it unfolds and we can carry on. Now, the plugins I have installed to add more functionality to this site, go to plugins overview, additional plugins. So we have 5 plugins and 3 extra themes. You can also, I have allowed to set a different theme for every course. If you don't like the one available, then you can switch to one of the others for your course. There's the attendance if you want to keep a record of who's present, absent, late, or excused. The big blue button you know already. The questionnaire. Now this for surveys. Moodle provides an activity called survey, but it has default questions predetermined. If you want to create a survey using your own questions, you need this tool, the questionnaire, so you can define your own questions. This block shows some statistics on grades, participation, and other things. It's called analytic graphs. And finally, there's nothing else really. Ah, yes, and the collapsed topics, which we have seen already.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is generally the idea. You give me the context and I will sort it out and arrange it into a layout.
This will be our next multiplier event. Hopefully,
Yes.
we will have uploaded the developed learning content on the modules, and we will ask for some more feedback. So, can we move to our last presentation?
Yes, I will switch off my screen. Okay.
Is there any feedback, Yaman, for this? We haven't prepared any question for this, so we can go to the last presentation of our workshop.
Vasily's microphone.
Microphone?
I think that also in the lecture output 6Kev has some questions.
Mm-hmm.
We have four poll questions on.
Poll questions. Yeah.
Right after the presentation, we can do them real quick. They are really to the point, short poll questions.
Yeah. So let's go now to the Miss Florence Lelarla to present intellectual output 6.
Florence, the floor is yours for the last presentation today.
Yes, I was looking for the button for unmute my microphone. I think that everybody is tired, so I will try to do my presentation in a very short time. So I will open it. Oops. I'll try to share my screen.
Would you like me to share it for you?
No, it's okay. Thank you. I think I'm able to share my screen myself. Okay, you can see my screen?
It's coming.
I have a 25 slides presentation, but I think that some slides are not really needed. We already lost some participants, so I will do my best to try to don't boring, a bit on too much boring. So for you can see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
great.
we do.
So for my part, I'm preparing the IT tool for the remote examination. So it's one SaaS. That means that no one needs any license, no software installation, no update, just a browser and login code. That makes things very easy. So every data will be available 7 days. It's one interactive platform built to be interactive between the CBs that will certify the competencies and the mentor who will apply. So it's empty person. It's fully dematerialized. That means that each data can be extracted also. It's possible to add so many languages that we need. We will start with English, but it's possible to add a lot of languages for one another project. By example, we are working for adding Chinese, so one very specific language, not applicable in Europe for sure, but yeah. The platform is fully compliant with the accreditation rules. That means that by example, that means that, by example, you have 2 steps for validation, the validation of each examination, one validation by the lead auditor and one validation by the reviewer following the rule of accreditation. Even if everything is dematerialized, it's possible to extract PDF exam report, and all data will be available to be in order to be processed for analyzing if the process is correctly done. Yes, the last bullet is that the platform is done in order to be compatible with unlimited number of schemes and examines. That means that this scheme will be uploaded, but the goal is to have one very complete platform in which one we can enter so many schemes and so many competence exams that the market will need. So the advantages of one remote examination compared to face-to-face or paper review is that it's possible to go deeper in the harmonization of the assessment. By example, we can give criteria guidance. So the idea is to save time and simplify the evaluation with clear statement for data entering and criteria for evaluation. So one of the goals is to obtain a cost reduction through partially automatic correction also. Partially correction, automatic correction will be possible only for quizzes and things like that. For sure, auditor will have to analyze the data entered. It's not one fully automatic correction. It's not possible with such project. So the advantages are also to consistency and reproducibility of the examination, and all data are centralized, so you don't have to manage any record, anything. So it's easy to access to the file and to share it between candidate and examiner. I think I will, yes, I prefer to present that slide. So just to have one global overview and picture of what is included in the database. So what is included is for sure the standard, so the requirements that will be entered. By example, the matrix of competencies will be fully described in the platform. The auditor qualification can be recorded and can be managed directly in the platform. It's possible to plan the different examination, because normally it's 3 years cycle for certification, and you can directly plan the full cycle. And if we can imagine that one auditor has a lot of examination to analyze, it's possible to give to one auditor one full planning of his job. And then what will be included for sure is a report of the exam. So the exam itself and the record, and then the certificate that will be raised if the results are correct. And what is very important is that we can extract any kind of data entered in the platform. And if needed, CBs can have one direct public list of certified persons. And people who can access to the platform, for sure the scheme owner, I mean the team of experts, can access directly to each data in order to be able to check if the qualification of auditor is in order, to check if the planification is correct, if you don't miss any intermediate examination, by example, check the content of the report of the examination, check the validity of the certificate. So the mentor can check everything in the platform to be sure that the scheme is correctly managed. The certified person can access to the result, so the report of the examination, the certificate for sure. The examiner can access to everything linked to his examination, to the examination that he will have to check. And the CB can access to the data of all the auditor of this CB. That means that the CB can monitor the work of his own company to check if examiner respects the planification, if the examiner are correctly assessed, by example. So it's one global picture of the platform. I hope that it's clear enough with a short presentation. And that's one more detailed presentation of the platform. So you have one module is related to the CP, planification and dashboard. One module related to the candidate, exam, certificate, and contact person that can access to his profile. So by example, if you imagine that one trainer company want to access to the different results of the exam and of the different candidates that they employ, it's possible to access to all the examination by using one unique login. And in one exam data, you will have the content of the examination, the report related to the examination. In that case, non-conformity management, I think we will not use it in that scheme, but it's one tool interactive that can be useful for other schemes, and one message box that give possibility to exchange directly information between the candidate and the auditor, the assessor. The knowledge bases, what we call knowledge bases, it's the requirements, the set of requirements. One user guide also will be built in order to support the use of the platform, even if it's really easy to use. Normally, people don't really need any training for using it. And then for user access, one another module, we have the examiner's profile and the examiner's qualification that is recorded, as I said previously, and then the module for data extraction and processing, public list and data extraction. So all the data related to one candidate can be read by the examiner, can be read by the scheme owner, and as I said, one group can access to different candidate file if needed. I think that it's not really needed to go so deeper in this presentation. It's probably too early and too late also. But just to have one overview of the workflow. So what is, oops, no, it's not dark blue, it's green online. Yes, I forgot to modify this slide. So what is in blue is what is done by phone, by paper, by email. So one candidate will contact one certification body. The certification body will create one contract that needs to be signed by the candidates. That is not done online. It has to be done by using traditional tools as our paper, email. It depends on the organization of the certification body. And once the contract is signed, the CB will give access to the user, and then the candidate will be able to complete the part that we are calling the prerequisite. So the prerequisite is the first presentation when the mentor will give information about his training, his profile, diploma, experiences, things like that. So if the prerequisites are enough, sufficient, so the examiner will validate the prerequisite and the candidate will be able to go to the next step. The examiner will validate the prerequisite and select free, not training, free mentoring activities for deeper evaluation. It's very important. That part is very important because we had a few discussions about the consistency of one competence evaluation. One competence evaluation cannot be done only based on quizzes and even by open question. If you want to assess competencies, you have to go so much that you can to check the real activity of the mentor. So that's the reason why the candidate will have to complete proof that can show how they are doing their job. So the day for the real examination, the candidate will go to the CB area in order to check the candidate active identity and the USB key. And then the candidate will complete one self-assessment against the competence matrix. That means that they will have to self-assess each competence, each of the 12 competencies, and to enter proof based on documentation that they really act in line with the requirement. So they will have to assess, upload evidence on selected training, and answer to quiz and open question. It's something that has to be done in about 3 hours. And then the examiner will make his evaluation to compare his assessment level with the self-assessment of the candidate. And in order to assess the competence, he will have to download the proof and to read it and to complete competence per competence if they give the same evaluation or not as the one that the candidate gave. And if we will have to correct the open question. And for the open question, we will give, we will give criteria for the open question. And then, based on the result, proposal will be automatically proposed by the platform that the examiner will validate or not, and the decision will be done by the reviewer because it's one third-party certification. So the auditor, the examiner will evaluate the data, make a proposal, but only the certification body, the certification committee, will validate and decide if the certification is granted or not. Is that clear for the moment? Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Florence,
I
for
think
your laconic presentation.
No, I can. I just wanted to ask if it's clear. I have a few examples of another scheme if you want to see some example, but I know that it's late, so that's why I asked if it's too short or not. So it's from another scheme, just to illustrate what I presented quickly. So that's a prerequisite. For the prerequisite, in that case, it was required to complete if the candidate has one diploma and status or document related to the activity of the trainer, and then complete the training experience. So by example there, it was required to enter at least 10 training events delivered the last 2 years has to be entered. The number of at least for the trainees, everything is defined. It will not be exactly the same, but the criteria for validation of the prerequisite has to be defined, and the data has to be completed by the candidate. And then, if the prerequisites are relevant, if the level is correct, so the prerequisites are validated by the examinator, and the exam can start. The first step of one of the steps is self-assessment. You can see now the competence matrix. And for each competence, you have the candidate evaluation and then the examiner evaluation. In that case, you can see that we have the same evaluation. And even more, the examiner was more positive than the candidate, because the candidate didn't answer yes few competence. And these evaluations, these answers are based on, you can see below, the attached files. That means that the candidate gives his own self-assessment and the examiner gives his assessment by after analyzing the document entered. So the same for the different part of the competence matrix. And then 3 full folders. In that case, it's training folders. In the current scheme, it will be monitoring folders. So for 3 of the full list of 10 that will be entered, the examiner will select 3, and for the 3 example, the full content of proof has to be completed and so can be evaluated by the assessor. And last point, the quiz and open question. So there are 1 quiz per chapter and 1 list of open questions per chapter. And for each quiz, you have 1 automatic evaluation scoring. And for the open question, you have an answer. That one is in French. The English is above. Criteria are given to support the examiner assessment, and the scoring in that case is given manually. In the previous one, it will be automatic score. You can see it's not open for evaluation. In that case, the assessor gives his own score. And once everything is corrected, you have the result of the candidate self-assessment of chapter of the matrix, the result of the examiner evaluation, the chapter, the result of the score, the result of the open question, the final result, one calculation with that has to be precised, and then it depends of the level defined in the scheme. In that case, one minimum of 50% for all competence was required to receive a lead trainer certificate. If you do not meet the plan, you will receive only one trainer certificate. And if at least one competence is too low, the candidate will not be certified. Oops. So that means that the IT tool doesn't make all calculations, just give one harmonized way to process the data in the same approach for all candidates, and to support the assessment to help them to have an equivalent evaluation of the competencies presented. So that time I finished. My battery low.
Yes, what you have now on the screen doesn't mean that this is what we are going to do and what we are going to validate after the pilot testing within the UBL mentor. This is, as Florence said, an example of another scheme on how it could look like, and maybe it gives an idea whether we will slice it down to partial successful marks on each of the plan, do, check, act section or not. For instance, this is something that we will gather the results of the pilot, and then we will have to process within the schemes committee. We will have to process that to figure out what gives the most representative and reliable results regarding also the previous knowledge that some of our partner and experts might have of the profile and the competence of the candidates who will apply for the test. So this is just an option. But once we have the results, we can process that in all kind of figures.
It's one part that needs to be defined. And as you just said, it's just one example. Okay. Do you have any question?
We can give, first of all, our question for the participants' feedback. Yaman, can you share the first link?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you can email to our participants that do not have access.
I think that one of the questions was already asked by each IO. Do you want to participate to the pilot? Everybody asked that.
I'm sharing all four. The first form is, as you see, 3 questions together, but the others are single questions.
Do we have any results to show?
We are getting responses.
Of course, it's late and the participants are tired.
Yes, but I tried to show.
We thank them for their patience.
If they still survive, you say.
You already perform or here. Convenience, time saving, flexibility, easy to manage. Other, can you scroll down? Security, reliability, lack of transparency, the major.
Yes, it's very important. Lack of transparency. It's very important to be very clear about the data. If you ask someone to enter data in the platform, to be very clear about how the data will be used, stored, and interpreted.
How the marking works also, and how the decision is processed and produced. This is also important.
It's important to have it in mind when you create user guide or the document for the contract, to give this information very clearly somewhere in the platform, in a document, at any place, to give that information. Also for training.
We will share the links. We will share the links in our website, so more people will be invited to give their feedback.
Regarding blockchains, we applied this year for, this is something that we are going to investigate in other projects related to competence certification, on how far we can rely on informal recognition within a formal certification approach. We have a couple of projects application this year on that, and we hope that we will progress. This is for part of the future.
So we have offers for participation. We'll try to trace them down.
Yes.
And
that's great.
Any other responses for only these are 3 questions? 4?
No,
4.
5. 4, 5. I don't remember. No.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
So we have 4 people who would like to get involved in the pilot.
So yeah,
scheme.
our tester recruitment process for the pilot is almost covered now, right?
Being the last presentation, of course, there is not a lot of responses, but we will share widely.
We have only, Jenny, we have only 22 attendees, including ourselves. That's the reason.
Yes. However, if any of the remaining participants would like to discuss something and have any question before we close, you are welcome.
I would like also to remind to fill the feedback, the evaluation form of the multiplier event before you are leaving the multiplier event. This information are very crucial for us to improve the next multiplier events. So, I think that there is no any other questions. Thank you very much for your participation, attendance in this multiplier event. We have closed almost 5 hours. We have a really productive multiplier event. The main findings are very valuable and useful for us for the further development and implementation of the project. So, have a good night. Thank you very much. And we will be in touch and we will inform you for the next evolution of our project.
Thank you very much.
The hosting partner of the event, the Baksehir University, and especially Yaman with his team. Thank you very much.
We thank the ECVET for leading the project. And also I must say that it was great to see Gerasimo's face after so long. Yeah. See that you are still alive, my friend.
Okay.
Does it work in a webinar? Give a hand.
Thank you very much, especially to our participants for their patience and contribution. Thanks a lot. It was really helpful.
And Adem Bey for Özer for his tech support for the past, not only today, for the past 2 weeks.
Okay. And thank you for the dog for his enthusiastic participation.
Yeah, thank you really to, especially to Bao, who did a huge work technically to set all this so that it works. And yeah, I know at least Yaman spent his whole weekend on that. So,
at least.
Thank you.
That's great. And the initiative of Vasilis was very good. I must confess I was quite skeptic about any success chance of such a webinar, and indeed I think I never had such a successful multiplier event at all levels, in terms of number of participants, in terms of interaction. Really great initiative, and yeah, the result is really at a far beyond the expected level.
We have to congratulate.
Thank you very much for your support. Yes, Yaman and Ahmed. And yeah.
Okay, man. It's
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Congratulations.
Everything was fine.
Thanks a lot for your help as well.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your participation.
For those who would like to participate in Turkey, please contact Bao for the further steps of the project. Thank you.
Look,